Hey everyone, it's Mario Time 1000, and today we are back in the magical land of F1 Diecast. Today we are going to look at 4 F1 Diecasts that I have today. It's going to be a little bit different than the last F1 Diecast video because I had 4 Burago 143 scales. I still have a couple. I have 2, but I also have a 132 scale, and I also have a MiniChamps. MiniChamps 143 scale. So look at that now, but we'll be looking at that one last. So we're gonna look at these 4 cars in this video. Have no idea how long this video is gonna be, but let's get into it. The first car we're going to look at is this car right here. And you might be thinking that I'm pulling a fast one, and I am unboxing a car that I already did a video on. You can check in the link. You can check in the links in the description for the last F1 Diecast video I did, as well as the unboxing I did for this car. This right here is Daniel Ricciardo's 2016 RB12. You might be thinking that here it is again. Well, you're not correct. This is Max Verstappen's 2016 RB12. It's pretty much the same car. In fact, this one's more accurate than the Daniel Ricciardo car, and we'll get into that later. I'm going to open it here and then make a cut because these things do have screws that I have to unscrew. Come on. So here is the car, and right here you can see the screws at the bottom. So I will cut back, and this car will no longer be screwed. And just like that, the car is out. Now, this does look exactly the same as the Daniel Ricciardo car. Almost exactly the same. There is 1, 2, technically 3 differences. We've got... Oh, you're fricking me. There we go. Okay, after that technical difficulty, here's the one difference. We've got a 33 instead of a 3. And the other difference? You can't even... 33, 3. 33, 3. That's the only difference, but as I said before, this car is more accurate than the Daniel Ricciardo car, and that's because of the cameras on the top. As I've mentioned in every video I've done so far, the camera on the second driver is got a fluorescent yellow paint on it or whatever. For whatever reason, and this is a problem with the 2015 Red Bull, which I have to show in every video, for whatever reason, they're both yellow, and I don't know why. So, actually it looks like this one's taller, but I'm sure it's just because of where they're placed on the camera. So the Daniel Ricciardo is technically incorrect, while the Max Verstappen is correct, because he was the second driver. Well, third driver, I guess, if you're counting, because there were 3 drivers at Red Bull last year, because, I guess 1 crash will leave you out of Red Bull, but I mean, they both crashed this year and they're still in Red Bull, so I don't know, but yeah, so that is that. Now, for the molding, I still really don't know what's going on with the molding, because we're going to look at a car in a sec, but its molding is different. But these, as I mentioned in the last video, these have the same mold as the 2015 Red Bull. Not really sure if it's like cutting costs. I know it wasn't the same car, so yeah, whatever. We'll give a look through of the Verstappen because that's this video, but once again, it's the same car that I looked at in the last video. And there's Aston Martin still there, sticking it out, even though it looks like Red Bull a few years down the line are going to be with Honda and not Tag Heuer, which are watches, as I said in the last video. I wasn't sure. They are watches. And they're freaking expensive. Like, no one even freaking wears a watch anymore. And we've got the soft tires. I've made that mistake in every video. These are soft, not super soft. And of course, have to say it, the rear front wing. And retarded. And so is Brendan. And that is the Max Verstappen car. So here it is. And now, we are going to move on to a car that you haven't really seen already. Let's go. So, our second car of the video is the 2016 Mercedes F1 W07 car. This is, unlike the Red Bull car, it doesn't have the same mold as the other Mercedes that I've reviewed so far. If you do not remember that, we will be looking at it in a second. Here's the box, because this box is actually different. This car was driven by Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton, but this is Nico Rosberg, I believe. Yeah, it says 6 in there. So, Nico Rosberg, who was the 2016 champion of F1. I guess it's debatable whether or not he deserved the championship. He had the most points, so in that sense he deserved it, but I'm sure a lot of people think Lewis Hamilton drove a little bit better last season, and that engine in Malaysia really costed him the championship, which it did. But I can't... Obviously, we don't know if he would have still won had that Malaysia thing not happened. But anyway, not even going to cut. We're just going to get right into the car. Here is the 2017-16, I'm dumb, F1 Mercedes thingamabobber. Get up close, I'm probably going to have focusing troubles again. Oh, would you look at that? What is that even focus? Here it is, number 6, Nico Rosberg, who is retired from F1 now. And I really think the commentators are getting a bit too creative when they say he's going to... Anyway, I think the commentators are a bit too creative when they say he's going to drive for Williams next year, because he's retired, and so is Jenson Button. So stop acting like he's in the driver lineup. I'm sorry. Mini ran over. But yeah, we've got the Mercedes car last year. One thing I immediately noticed was BlackBerry wasn't on the car anymore. As I said, I'm pretty sure no one does that BlackBerry thing anymore. So yeah, one thing that I do not like is this. This is ridiculously loose. Was it? Yeah, I don't think it was like that. No, it's pretty firm on there. This is ridiculously loose on the car. I think some of it might have to do with the fact that this little black plastic piece right here isn't actually connected to the rear wing at all. I'm fairly certain it wasn't like that on the real F1 car. I'm not sure if this is the actual like shape of the Mercedes car last year, because as we found out with the Red Bull, the Burago cars aren't exactly molded to the correct standards, but this rear wing is a little bit unfortunate, because I do think the Mercedes cars look really good in the diecast form because of the silver, but that is unfortunate that we've got this problem here. It's really annoying. I could probably glue it, but it would look so obvious that it's glued because this piece is exposed. I suppose if you get under there with glue, but I don't know. What I'm noticing is that it seems like there isn't any sponsorship of any sort on this car, but really, it's sort of the same as the last car, except BlackBerry is gone, because these sponsors are still down here. Pirelli, I'm gonna frick you, camera, and Petronas, which has been on their car since 2010 and was on the 2014 car. But it's not that different from this scheme. There's a little bit of black here, That's about the only difference. This is darker black. You can compare it to the last scheme. I think it looks better than the 2014 scheme. I think the black that it has really makes it a little bit better. You can see the front wing is got more black on it. It looks like... No, okay, I thought it looked like it had the same front wing molding, but it doesn't. You can see it's got a bit lower and a bit more of a rounded front nose as opposed to this square, and it's got a little bit of a air pocket there, I guess. So, yeah. Here's the sides of each car. This is Lewis Hamilton, by the way, if you couldn't see the number. And this one's Nico Rosberg. So, looks like Puma, whatever, is not on the 2016 car. Here's the rear wing. So these cars are molded differently. Not sure if this is accurate to the 2016 Mercedes, but it's pretty cool, and I'm glad that I have this. It's fairly accurate from what I can tell. It does have the yellow bar, and Nico Rosberg was the second driver last season, so that would make sense. I'm not sure if it's like the Red Bull, where Lewis Hamilton also has the yellow bar. I would assume it's like that, since it is like that with the Red Bull, but you know what they say about assuming. And once again, we're fitted with soft tires. So, that is the 2016 Mercedes W07. Now, we're going to step ahead a little bit, or step up a little bit. I don't know what the frick I'm saying. But we are going to look at a bit of a different car. A 1/32 scale car. Let's go. So, this is a bit interesting. This is the first time I'll be looking at a car that is not on the 1/43 scale. I'm interested to see if, one, it's accurate to the 2012 Red Bull. And obviously, I don't know what the 2012 Red Bull looks like, but I'm interested. This is a bit of a different era of F1. This is, at least right this second, this is the oldest F1 diecast I have, right this second, in the video. Because a little bit later in the video, it will no longer be that. You can see my reflection in the frickin' plastic case. Just went out of focus. I guess it was trying to focus on my hand or something. But this is a Burago 1/32 scale car, Red Bull, driven by Sebastian Vettel. Now, right now, you might think Red Bull's my favorite team because God dang, my throat is... Now, sorry about that. So, you might think Red Bull is my favorite team because this would be the fourth Red Bull diecast that I have, but Red Bull isn't my favorite team, but that's another video for another day. Let's take a look at the box. There's not even really a box. There's just a little bit of a cardboard little case thing. It doesn't even say anything on it besides Italian design and shiz like that. And I wasn't able... Oh, here's the bottom. It's hard to slip the cardboard off. See, look at that. It's getting stuck. Oh, wow. We got 2 screws on this car. Wow. Nothing's changed from this view, because now we just lost the cardboard casing. You can see Burago on the top, and 2012 Red Bull Racing Team Sebastian Vettel. This is not the first time we've looked at a Sebastian Vettel car. Remember back to the first video, we looked at this 2016 Ferrari. But that's not important, because today we are looking at a 2012 Red Bull Renault. Come on. Plastic case does not come on. There we go. So here's the car out of its little plastic thing. And Now all we have to do is unscrew it with my little mini screwdriver, and we will get into it. Okay, after that, my little mini screwdriver couldn't do the job, so we had to bring out the big gun. But we have the 2012 Red Bull. What Red Bull is this? This is like RB8 or something? I don't even know. 12 is 15. Or no. Yeah, so RB8. I had to think for a second. I had to use my brain. We've got the 2012 Sebastian Vettel car. You could see this car has those really weird noses that the F1 cars had back then. With the completely straight front, and then this giant space right here. I don't really think that looks really good at all. But whatever. They had those for like 3 years, 2011 through 2013, and then they got the new regulations. And I guess some of them had something like this in 2010. But yeah. Just for a size comparison, here's the 2016 Ferrari that I did in a previous video, and you can just see the size difference between these two cars. Line the rear wheels up. So yeah, this was obviously before the time where Renault and Red Bull had their falling out, so you still see Infiniti and Renault logos on the car. Obviously those are gone now. But you can see Red Bull on the side here. That was changed. They changed that for 2015. They had the Infiniti logo here and the Red Bull logo there. So that might have been in 2014 too. Here's the rear of the car. We can see Infiniti. This car, this side is the same. Renault, Red Bull, something down here. Simons and Platform Computing. No idea what those. Well, I know what Simons is. You can see we're back to the front wing now. I think the front wing is still plastic, but is definitely a bit stronger than the plastic used on the front wings of the 1/43rd scale cars, and that's rightfully so because it's a bigger car, so it needs to cover more ground and be less fragile. But you can see Infiniti Renault number 1, which if you're unaware, well, it'd still be today. Number 1 is the same as it's always been, but the champion of the prior year obviously gets the number 1. Sebastian Vettel is actually the last person to run the number 1 because Lewis Hamilton doesn't run it when he wins the championship, and Nico Rosberg retired after he won the championship. So there hasn't been a number 1 since 2014 when Sebastian Vettel won the championship for 2013. And obviously, Sebastian Vettel, 2010, 11, 12, and 13 champion with Red Bull. But yeah, here is the car all around. Here's the bottom. Nothing spectacular on the bottom. If you are unaware of this, we've been talking about the T-cams quite a bit. The red one. What does red mean? Well, I'm pretty sure red indicates the first driver, and yellow indicates the second driver, but obviously they don't run the red ones anymore. They just run the yellow ones for the second driver. So this is something that I don't know when they stopped running the red car ones. I'd assume it was 2014. Yeah. So I never actually finished my point about the number 1. So yeah, number 1's for champion, but back in this day, I'm acting like 2012 was so long ago. Drivers didn't choose their numbers. The numbers were decided by constructors finish, or obviously if the driver was the driver's champion. So driver's champion would always get number 1, and their teammate would be number 2, and then the rest of the numbers would be decided by constructors. So if Red Bull didn't win it in 2011, the team that did would have 3 and 4, and so on and so forth. We'll see that again later with the next car, but yeah, overall, oh, this is extremely solid. This actually feels like metal, but I don't really know if it is. Overall, this is a really good car. I think it's better than the 143 scales. Not sure if it's accurate to the Red Bull's molding, or the chassis, I should say, of the 2012 Red Bull, but it still is a pretty nice car, and I still haven't gotten any Burago 1/18th scale cars. I'm not sure if I will anytime soon, but this is definitely a good car, so I'd imagine those would be good too. And it's a very sturdy model, and yeah, let's get into the final car, which will undoubtedly be the best of the bunch. The final car is the 2008 BMW Robert Kubica win. Well, it's not a race version if you're like a NASCAR person, but it is from the 2008 Canadian Grand Prix, which was won by Robert Kubica. He's in the news again because he may be coming back to F1. I am not so sure he will because, as they've mentioned, if you watch NBC's coverage of F1, his right arm doesn't work as well as it used to. If you're unaware, Robert Kubica, and I think 2011 was in a rally crash, and that pretty much put him out of F1 ever since. And as it's been well documented, he was probably one of the best drivers on the grid at the time. He was driving for Renault at the time, but this is when he was driving for BMW Sauber. I hate Sauber so much, I just have to say it because it's pronounced that way. I don't hate the team, I just hate pronouncing it like Sauber. I normally pronounce it like with an at the end instead of ER, like Sauber, but that sounds wrong too. There's a technique behind saying it right, and I haven't perfected it yet, but it's retarded talking about it still. So shout out to all my Polish fans out there, because there's got to be at least one. Thank you, Gabe. So yeah. I don't even remember what I was talking about. So let's get into this car. This is a MiniChamps car. So this is probably top of the line in terms of F1 diecasts. I don't know if it's all metal. There could still be plastic pieces. I would imagine so, but you know, let's get into this. Once again, we've got to remove a plastic case. This one says MiniChamps on the top. If you wanted to see that, yeah, that's cool. So, we are going to get in this car. My screwdriver is going to come out again, and let's do this. Oh, shoot. And now the car is out of its stand, off its stand, and I can say that just from feeling it, it feels so much better than the Burago cars. It feels like there's a lot more quality in this car, and that makes sense because these are really expensive. Not really sure what's going on with the front wheels here, but it's not supposed to be a toy car, so it makes sense that they don't roll well. I dare it say it has something to do with these wheel covers, and I have no idea what these are, but they were on the cars in 2009 too. If you put some more weight on the front wheels, they roll better, but there's no real reason to do that. I'm probably just going to put it on the stand again. But this car, really, it's unbelievable. This is an era in F1 where it was just completely ridiculous, the amount of aerodynamic shiz that's all over the car. I mean, you can see there's just winglets everywhere. The front wing, see all the different wing parts to it. These things. It looks ridiculous, but I think these are some of the best looking F1 cars that there ever were. I don't even know what era you'd call this. I don't know what years you'd call this, but 2008, it just was ridiculous. And then in 2009, they just shut it all down. And that's probably for the best. But it's still unfortunate. As you can see, BMW power. I haven't actually really gone into this car. You can see this is actually detailed, the rear light. Whoa, the rear light. I don't think there's a detail of that light. It's the post is there on all the cars, but there's no actual like lights on it. Obviously, they don't light up, but yeah, you can see Malaysia and Petronas again. They used to sponsor the BMW team. I'm just going to call them BMW so I can avoid sounding like an idiot. Intel, no idea what this is. T-Systems, dare say that has something to do with T-Mobile. Petronas again. Credit, so what the fudge? I don't even know some of these sponsors, but obviously F1 being an international sport. Although you'd think some of these sponsors would be local because it was, you know, Canada. You see the BMW logo, the camera mount is yellow. That is correct, and I expect it to be correct on a diecast like this. It's just so unbelievable. Here's number 4, because Sauber had... I hate saying that. Because they had, they were second in the Constructors' Championship. For 2008, they had 3 and 4. The other driver was Nick Heidfeld, I believe. And you can see, we actually have the driver in the car. I'm pretty sure this is accurate. This is definitely a familiar helmet. I have seen the race review of this season. Wow, it's actually pretty well detailed for a thing you can't really see. You can see in there. I think there's a little... No. And his legs actually do go under the steering wheel. Of course, it's not going to focus there. Can't really see it, though. I don't know how far that goes. I'd assume this is not hollow. But there would be really no way to know. Underneath, this is kind of cool. First of all, we have a mimic carbon fiber matte finish sort of down here. These cars definitely have it, but it's not done nearly as well as these ones. And we have a little bit of a dummy plank here. It's painted like the wooden plank that is under F1 cars still to this day. That is not on these cars. But there is still a wooden plank under the F1 cars, even in 2017. So, yeah, this car is it's really unbelievable, the amount of detail on this car. And, obviously, I haven't even mentioned this, the Bridgestone tires, not Pirelli tires. I'm pretty sure this is the option tire. Obviously, they were called prime and options back then. I don't know if there was an indication for soft, super soft, you know, blah. I don't know if it's just prime and option. I'm pretty sure the option tires had this little band of color in them, and the prime tires didn't. Obviously, that changed in 2010, or no, 2009, when slick tires were brought back. I didn't even mention that these tires are grooved. I don't remember, it was like 1999 or something like that. The FIA, they banned slick tires. So the tires were grooved, the dry tires were grooved, and the wet tires were of course grooved. But in 2009, they brought back slick tires. So the prime and option were differentiated by the sidewall of the tire. But this is not an F1 history lesson, so who really cares? But yeah, this is the this is Robert Kubica's 2008 Canada win car. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of news about him maybe coming back to F1. It was speculated that would be Renault for a while, but obviously Renault have decided their cars for next season. Looks like there's some exhaust pipes back here. That's pretty cool. It's amazing, the detail on this car compared to the other ones. And obviously that's due in part because the cars, definitely not simple, but I mean they're simpler than this nowadays. Arguably, in 2016 they were simpler. I don't know what you'd compare the 2017 cars to a car like this. But, yeah, but anyway, Robert Kubica, I think he might come back, but I don't think it'll be anytime soon. Let's compare this to this car. I thought it looked a lot smaller to me, but it seems the wheelbases, it is definitely a lot smaller. It's a lower downforce. No. Higher downforce thing, the rear wing. I think that's what it is. High downforce, right? Yeah, that would make sense because of all the wing shiz. But this car should be, it does have a smaller sort of thing going on, and that would make sense because these cars have giant fuel tanks because, you know, they don't refuel in F1 anymore. They did refuel back in 2008 and 9, and refueling was banned for 2010. So this car should be smaller, but I can tell the driver cabs are the same size, so these cars are both the same scale. It's just I thought there would be I thought it'd be shorter. It is a little bit shorter on the front wing, but I thought it'd be a lot shorter. So yeah, undoubtedly this is the best F1 diecast I have, and hopefully it's not the last MiniChamps diecast I get because it's extremely good. Obviously, though, we won't get this bunch of aerodynamic shiz on the more recent F1 cars, but I'm sure the quality will still be really good because you know, stuff like the carbon fiber floor and stuff like that are still on F1 cars, you know, today. So yeah, that took a long time to look at this car, but let's head on down and look at all what we have got today or something. So I gotta hold this camera up a little bit longer. So that is it for the video today. We've looked at the 2008 BMW, the 2016 Red Bull, and the 2016 Mercedes, and the 2012 Red Bull. So that is it for the video today. If you like the video, subscribe and like the video. If you didn't like the video, go watch Scarce or something. I'm gonna play. That is it. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.